Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Art of Learning Self-Love. I'm Darla Williams, and today I want to talk about affirmations and declarations and why they're so important.
Mm,
Um, this is basically, I'm going to start like a little series, and I'm going to do like the 90-day self-love that I actually teach, but I'm going to start it here where I'm doing day one and going over what is in the Art of Learning Self-Love and what day one looks like. And we're going to go over each week. I'm going to do a new part each day. So day one, day two, day three. So we'll go over the course of, but it'll probably jump because I think I'll do videos in between to load up some of those things. So I'm just working on building a new way for me to actually promote what I'm doing. So I'm going to be setting that up. So I just want everybody to know that basically we're starting day one of my course of the Art of Learning Self-Love. And
okay.
if you want to actually get involved, there are a couple of different ways that you can actually be in it. You can contact me outside of Noble Goldman to set up a 15-minute consultation over it. If you're interested in diving deeper into it. But like I said, I just want to do the recordings and do each day. So day one, what is the Art of Learning Self-Love and why is it's so important? The Art of Learning Self-Love is basically learning how to love yourself from the inside out. We have that backwards. In today's world, we have been raised to believe that love comes from some other source.
Mhm.
Mom and dad love us, brother and sister love us, cousins love us, our extended family, friends, everything else comes in and begins to love us. So we believe love starts outside, when in all actuality, love begins within. But what does that even mean and how do we get there? When we have been broken, battered, bruised, beaten, life has turned us upside down. We don't know what's going to happen next. And the whole situation's all the way around. It doesn't matter how minor it looks to one, it was major for that person. Whether or not it was major and everyone sees that it was a horrific situation, we've all been through something. And in that, it literally separates us from ourselves and causes us to be void of what we need the most. So here we are chasing these feelings, chasing the world around us, trying to achieve that when we got to build it for ourselves. Nobody can meet us where we need to be met until we recognize what it is that we need. When I started doing the Art of Learning Self-Love for myself, it was literally building myself because I had zero confidence in me. I didn't have any background where people lifted me up. I had a lot of things that pressed me down, made me feel oppressed. So because I had kept myself repeating these same patterns and creating all of this havoc in my own life, there was way too many spaces for me not to believe that something good could happen because I'd been through too many tragic type of situations that people shouldn't have had to go through. So my experience led me to where I am today, and I'm able to help many because of it. And I'm grateful for that experience now. But going through the circumstance, I definitely wasn't grateful. So it taught me to actually finally realize, why was this happening to me? Why was this going on? And because I kept asking that question over and over again, what happened? The mind has a unique ability to create a story within itself. And it took that why and began finding the pieces to why. And for me, it was a lack of love. It was a lack of love from my upbringing. There wasn't enough connection. There wasn't enough resources to build a proper foundation. And as it continued, I began realizing how scarce love was for me in my life. And if I'm the only person who can come back in and heal that wounded child within, I needed to bring that love to myself so that I could give that to others. I couldn't I couldn't make any relationships work no matter how hard I tried. The more relationships I tried, the worse it got. Things just continued to spiral out of control. And that's where I finally broke down. And I felt like I was so desperate that I just wanted an exit. I wanted out. And because I couldn't find what I was looking for. And having that desperation within, wanting an exit route, wanting to just completely disconnect from everything, because it wasn't, I knew that a permanent solution wasn't what was necessary for a temporary problem. It just required more education, and I needed to educate myself. So I began a journey, and I put together the Art of Learning Self-Love. And what I did was I started with just a simple affirmation that I repeated to myself. Now, I had to build that. I didn't believe that when I first walked up to the mirror and thought, yep, we're going to rock this and we're going to do that. No, I didn't think that at all. It was not even close to that space. I looked at that girl in the mirror and oh my gosh, I hated her. I hated that girl. She was horrible. She allowed so many tragic things to happen. I couldn't stand her. And I know so many of us relate to that. And that's not what we want. We want to be able to look in that mirror and go, yeah, I actually like you. And it's important. So how do we begin that? We begin finding one declaration, one affirmation that we actually believe. For me, it wasn't, I am so happy and grateful now that it wasn't all things are possible. It wasn't any of those things that came as I developed and got further into it. It started with me literally looking at myself going, okay, I don't know how to love you yet, but I promise I will try. And every day I got up until I finally actually saw a glimmer of hope in my eyes. And when I looked in that mirror and went, okay, I can begin loving myself. I gave myself permission. And that's one of the things we don't realize we need to do. There's nobody else around to give us permission. When we first start walking, we have somebody there that's going, yes, you can do it, you can do it. As we're going through our educational years, we have somebody who's stepping in and saying, I believe in you. But no matter how much somebody else might say it, it doesn't come together and doesn't become cohesive for us until we believe it. So if I can dream it, then I can become it. But if I'm not believing in myself, how big and how grand are those real dreams if I'm not believing? If I have a lot of chatter within my mind that keeps me separated from my truth. My truth is, as it says, even in the Bible, it says that we were formed and fashioned and created in the beginning. It says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. What does that even mean? It means that he made us in his image and his likeness of God. And in his likeness means that we're humans and we're like God and represent him as the rulers over creation. So if we're rulers over creation, we have the ability, the unique ability to decide and create and build an imagination, build from our imagination. If we can do all of that, we can literally take a whole storyline of everything we've ever experienced and take that and flip that and begin rebuilding ourselves a way that we want to be. We can create the world we want. That's why God made us in his image and in his likeness, so that we could do that, so that we cannot suffer that heaven or hell expression. Are we living a hellacious life, or are we living a pleasurable, is this another day in paradise, as Joe always says? Just another day in paradise. Where are we? Are we creating our own paradise, or are we creating our own hell? And that's really the bottom of it. So when we realize in the creation of it, when I began doing everything for the art of learning self-love, I was deeply reading scripture every day of my life because it was my way of finding peace. I was pouring myself over these scriptures, trying to find a solution, trying to find help for all these things that nobody else could help me with. So for me, I landed in this space in understanding all of this stuff through reading scripture. And I think it's really amazing because so many people are like, oh, that are in only listening to words coming from the pulpit. Because I sat and read the Bible and I read it over and over again, I started seeing little parallel stories within the stories that started unveiling themselves to me. And it made me realize, wow, the scripture is alive still. It is driven and the spirit still speaks. And I began hearing that and began following that. And out of that, I created the 90-day Art of Learning Self-Love, because that was what took me through and rebuilt who I was when I was broken down. When I felt shattered in my life, what was it that was going to bring me back? Well, declarations is what it started with. I declared over myself different types of things. One of the things at the time when I started out was I was selling Mary Kay, and that business was such a great business, just the core, the value of the business. It was there to build women. It was there to empower people to do better, to have bigger dreams and go after your dreams. And one of the poems from that was On Silver Wings. And in the building where Mary Kay Ash's office was, up on the wall, it was in there, and it was written underneath it, Mary Kay Ash. But this poem, I've read it thousands of times elsewhere, and it always said anonymous. It says, I have a premonition that soars on silver wings. It's a dream of your accomplishments, of many wondrous things. I do not know beneath which sky or where you'll challenge fate. I only know it will be high. I only know it will be great. Those words for me, from coming from such a bleak, dark background of so much pain, those words became a life mission. How do I get that? How do I find that silver lining? How do I get past some of this stuff that was holding me back? So because that became my life mission, it's what literally led me to doing what I'm doing today, and declaring those words in the beginning for me was how I began moving out into other things. Like another challenge I had while I was working for that company, one of the directors I had said, I want everybody to do this. I want you guys to grab a piece of paper, and I want you to think about what you want for if you built a team. And I was like, okay, cool. She's like, but I want you to write a poem, one that's going to motivate everybody in your team to do what you need to do and get where you're going. And I thought, wow, that's going to be a cool little challenge. I love to write. No one knew that at the time, but I thought, yeah, I can do this. So I wrote my own poem. So being that, words meant so much to me, that because I'm a person of affirmations, I need that reminder every day. Because for whatever reason, because of the way my life was, I don't retain that. I give it away and I pour it out. So words of affirmations for myself and encouragement are very necessary. So because I give them out all day long, my well runs dry. So I have to hear it. I have to see it. But nobody else in the world really wants to give me all of that. It's okay, Darla. And that's what I was looking for a long time, for the world to literally come up along and say, it's okay. And they couldn't. So I had to begin doing my own affirmations, and my own affirmations at the time when I was doing Mary Kay for that, when we were going to become the peach pizzazz, because I wasn't so on board with the color pink yet. I found myself absolutely loving the color pink now, but at the time I couldn't. And so we were going to be the peach pizzazz, and everyone made a joke saying it sounded like an alcoholic beverage. But I wrote a poem, and it was, I'm passionate, proud, positive, and peach, full of pizzazz, ready to be pink, moving fast in every way because today will be my day. And those were the words that I wrote to help to encourage not only myself, but others in my team, so that they could get up and have their own mantra, that they could get up every day and know that they were passionate, proud, positive, and peach, full of pizzazz, ready to be pink, moving fast in every way, because today will be their day. It was not just about me, it was about them as well. And if we can actually put those words into ourselves and actually feel them, the difference between our mind thinking it and our heart feeling it is the only separation that keeps us from actually manifesting the things that we want in our life. So affirmations and declarations are absolutely necessary when building yourself, because of the fact that that's what reinforces your own personal confidence. So in day one, I am worthy of the love I desire to have and choose to give it freely, is the affirmation. The next part is read it out and then write it out 5 times. 5 times is a little bit of consistency. It allows it to finally take root. But another thing that I also recommend is always putting it on a little post-it and putting it around your mirror. So every time you go to the restroom and into the bathroom area or a mirror area of your home, you can actually see those words and see yourself and repeat it until you can begin feeling it. Because we don't start off having that confidence, that security, and knowing. So how do we get there? We begin by building it. We begin by finding words. So if you are not comfortable yet with feeling worthy of the love that you desire to have, you could be at that space of, I am confident that one day I will believe in myself. And you can begin the process. You have to find the one statement that literally starts you in that place where you can begin actually believing it. Once you believe it, the heart and the head begin to come together, and there's this synergy that happens between the two that actually allows for the manifestation around you. But until you get into those two to become one, it has to be a marriage of the two for it to happen. Does anybody have any questions?
No, just like listening, Darla, and taking all in. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I have a question. Does anybody feel that today, with what I'm talking about, that maybe they have some chatter going on, makes them feel less than who they really are?
So Darla, I had, thank you for this, by the way. I had someone this week tell me, you have no right to say, I love you to me. You really don't even know me, and I think it's phony.
Oh.
And I was amazed at how deeply that hurt me. And
Well, your love was sincere.
oh yes, so sincere. So Oh, yeah, of course. Yes, yes. This young woman is so precious. Um, and we were in a conflict, but it didn't take away my love for her. And I guess thinking about it, maybe when she's in conflict, she thinks that means I don't love you or something. But what I'm most concerned about or most kind of grappling with today is, why did that hurt me so much? Why did I take that in? And I mean, I had a couple quote unquote bad days after that. I couldn't quite distance myself from that. So I wanted to see what you have to say about that. Thank you.
Well, the first thing I noticed is that you found that someone else not accepting your love was hurtful because you were really coming from a true, authentic space of giving love. The person responding on the other end isn't a reflection of you, it's a reflection of where they're at. And they can't actually meet you if they're in a pain point of their life. They're not going to be able to receive it the way that it should be received. No matter how much we love somebody, we could be giving the whole world of love, an ocean of love at that very moment. But if somebody else is in a heated space within themselves, the two frequencies are on totally different realms of the spiral. So they are on automatic repellent. It's like you're taking the two magnets and changing the polarity. If you put them together, they're going to come and snap together and you can barely pull them apart because they're so magnetic. But you take them and you flip them the other way and then they become resistant. So it's the same thing. What was happening for you, Dr. Kim, is you were realizing in that moment, and the reason it hurt so bad was because you didn't have the words to explain what was happening. You could only feel the repelling. So you were feeling the separation of, here I am giving my whole heart to you, but you're completely turning your back to it.
Yeah.
And that's a form of, it's the repellent. It's the energy they cannot meet. Anger cannot meet, hate cannot meet love. They're going to have a separation.
Thank you.
I hope that helped.
Yes, it does quite a bit. Thank you. And I realize from what you're saying too, her receiving my love or not, it's not about, it's about love, whether people receive it or not. We
Yeah.
love for ourselves, we love for God, and we love for humanity. And if somebody can't receive our love for whatever reason, that does not make us bad. I took it as something's wrong with me that she can't receive my love. That's where I went.
Yeah. And it's because that part comes from, you're reaching out, you're giving out because you know that eventually what you're giving will come back. You know that give has a receive. But when we come up against the objection, those who object it and say no, when you're there, oh, what am I trying to say? Sorry. Let me sit with that for just a moment.
Sure.
Your heart, Dr. Kim, desperately wants the love that you give to everyone. And when it isn't received, when you're really giving it away, because most times when you give out love, even as just a friendship, just as a connection of just loving people because you have a passion for loving people, when it's rejected because you long so much to be loved, it really truly penetrates the core of your being when they can't receive it. That's not a reflection of you. When they can't receive it, it's because of the hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
And when people are hurt, they're not intentionally trying, they're still just spilling over the pain. And anybody that comes into the wake of that pain gets some of it on them, and that's what happened. Somebody else was in a pain place, and that poured out, and it poured out, and you allowed it in. So now that you recognize it, you can actually release them and give them back that love that that they need, that they'll be able to pick up along the way when it's time for them. And they'll see it when it's the right time.
Thank you, Darla. And I can see now, I've often said that everything is a call for more self-love. And I can see that this really is a call for more self-love, that I was so hurt by Brittany not receiving my love tells me, oh, more self-love is needed here, Kim. It's not about Brittany. It's about me being resilient and having so much love for myself that if people don't give it back to me, so what?
When you're confident and secure in hearing the words in yourself that you need to hear, when you're filling that space with yourself, no amount of what everybody else says.
Yeah.
I have been full out yelled at, screamed at, called every kind of name you could possibly be called in the world. And generally, because of where I am today, when that happens, so say someone out on the street has road rage and they start screaming at Darla and calling me all kinds of obscenities, I'm literally going to sit there and laugh. And it's not because I'm trying to be disrespectful. I just know who I am, and I know I'm not this horrible person that they just happen to be mad and I'm the one that they're spilling all of their garbage on. You know, this is where their meltdown happened in life. I have to always remember this is their meltdown. This is where their trigger. This is their point. This is their moment, and I don't have to own it. And sometimes we fall short in that, no matter what, no matter how hard we work in this department of life. Growth and development is an ongoing thing forever. We're never made perfect here. We're just we're changing and getting better every day. We're in a process of it. So because of that process, we can actually sign into that space of knowing that when somebody else dumps on us because they're having their explosion, we can actually just be like, oh, if our child or a niece or a nephew or our animals, if anything, goes in and into the kitchen, toddling along, doing their own thing, and something gets spilled over, do we come in and rush in and yell and scream and tell that child how horrible they were? No. Any of us with a good heart are going to walk in and go, oh, well, here, let me show you how to clean this up. Let's work through this together. And that was where I had to get to, is when I look at people and the people around me, because I was so wounded at one point, I had to turn that and shift it completely and go, wow, the whole world is wounded too. I wasn't the only one. And everybody has something. And everybody's needs are just as important as mine. Just as important.
Yes.
And that was when it shifted and allowed me that space where I can actually get in this place where talking about some of these things and realizing I had to literally, it was like taking myself out of the box and looking back in. So whenever we find ourselves wounded in the moment, how is this here to assist us? What is this here teaching me about me right now? So take those moments when we get hurt. Somebody said something and you all of a sudden didn't know why it happened to hit so hard. Take some time and reflect on it and see what's going on inside of you. What do I need to fill this place? How do I release? And what can you say to yourself in place of those things? So say the dialogue within is really negative. Oh, darling, you can't do this. Oh, you can't do that. It's not possible. Da, da, da. And as I say it now, it sounds almost sarcastic as it's coming out of my mouth. As I'm saying it right now, I hear it like, because my mind literally cannot believe those words anymore. Every time I say them about myself, my mind's like, really? Really? Look at all this. Look at what you have done, Darla. Because I have shifted myself. So if I say those lower vibrating words, my whole system automatically rejects that now. But it was a layering, it was a process. And the 90-day course that I teach is one of those things that help people to actually begin developing that, so that they can actually identify what it is that's holding them back, look at all the pain points that's there, and actually bring some healing and restoration to it. Building the confidence within yourself so that you can feel secure using the 90 affirmations that are built into it. So every day you're getting a different affirmation to begin building yourself, so you have them on a whim. You can start just pulling them out of the air. Oh, I've got that one. I've got that one. Because you start refortifying yourself and building that foundation, all the while learning and identifying what it is that you really need. We all have our own individual needs, and there's somebody in this world that is made to fill that space within us. That's how come we have a helpmate. That's why we have a person who comes along to be there with us, why we long for it, because it's supposed to be there. Now, some people don't long for that, and that's okay too. Some people like to be by themselves. Some people really do enjoy that. I've met several, and personally, I couldn't understand that. I enjoy a relationship. I enjoy the interaction between two, but there are people out there who don't, and that's okay as well. Whoever you are and wherever you stand, and that's fine. Because there are people who are just meant to be just who they are, and they enjoy life just as much. But talking about that negative dialogue that goes on within us, could either of you actually talk about whether or not you struggle with that? Because I know I have.
For me, the negative inner dialogue, I just accept it as part of the discipline of self-love. It's never gonna just completely go away, but like you were saying, in my awareness and in becoming more self-loving, when it does come up, I know I'm much faster and efficient at handling it. I'm not like, I would go down for weeks, months, like it could just take me out before. And I just, I know what it is now, and I just know how to manage it. So I feel, I just trust myself so much more since I started, practicing loving myself.
Okay. Well, the negative dialogue comes from a series of a ton of different things. It comes from things we heard from other people. It could have been our peers. It could have been our parents. It could have been just someone we looked up to. I mean, it comes from a ton of different outlets. It could have been a teacher just having a bad day. Things that we hear as we grow and develop can really set the way our minds work. That is really cool. She's excited. That is really cool. I like your necklace. That's pretty. Awesome. But I love kids. Kids are great. That's why I write children's books. Just because the kids are great. Now, when we have the inner dialogue, though, is really what I want to talk about. That is, they're all from. It's not our truth. It's things that we have been led to believe about ourselves. That it's a space that's been set, and sometimes those spaces aren't even set by ourselves. They can be set by those who we looked up to while we were growing up. Because from the ages of 0 to 7, our subconscious mind is completely developed for our relay system of every thought and every action that we go through. And if everything that we go through goes back to those spaces from 0 to 7, then everything that we learned during that time literally is going to either build us up or break us down from whatever it was that we were around. So that's why it's so important to identify what's going on with us. And going back and looking at some of those things when we were young are so important, because that's what changed the dynamics of the way that we thought, that separated us from our truth, so that we could no longer live fully authentic. Because if we hear from those who are supposed to love and guide and nurture and support us, the things that we shouldn't have heard, then immediately by the time we're grown, having all of those younger impressionable years being told that we're less than, how do we even begin to believe within ourselves? So we've completely have to shift how we've all been raised to believe. And I love the expression on your daughter's face, Shayna. She's like so into listening to what I'm saying right now. I love her expression. She's adorable.
I love you, Darla.
I love you, Dora.
Aw, love you. You are such a sweetheart.
Say thank you. On your nose.
Right there.
What you got on your nose, girl?
I got
How old are you?
Ariel.
How old are you?
Me.
You're free.
Look
Look at
at you. You're
How do you do it? Do you do it 1, 2, 3? How do you hold up 3?
Show a 3, baby.
How
Can
do you
show
do 3?
Hey.
Did it fall?
Uh-oh.
I think her jewel fell.
But
Uh-oh.
how do you go from, if you are thinking a thought that I'm not good enough or I can't do this, how do you go about it and change your thought and go, I can do it?
For me personally, when I notice those negative thoughts come up, I shift, and when I'm aware of them, I begin to shift into what triggered this.
Okay.
You know, was it something somebody said? Was it an interaction? Was it something that I'm being hard on myself about? I'm always looking for what caused it to, like you said, see if it goes back to something more deep rooted, and find and try to figure out when was the first time in my life that I felt this way, and go deeper there.
What do you find in a day, Shayna, for yourself that you inevitably say and have to find yourself constantly going, no, 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 like I do Control Alt Delete. I cannot say that about myself anymore. Control Alt Delete. I got to get rid of that thought. What is it that you think of each day that you want to get rid of? That you don't want that plaguing thought.
Now.
I don't know
Now.
if it's so much.
Close your
Doesn't come up
eyes.
as much like plaguing thoughts. Maybe just like
Now. Close your eyes.
like
Close your eyes.
I think one that comes up for me a lot is I'm not progressing fast enough. You could have done more. You need to do it. You have to get it done by this time, and then I'm
Mom.
tired, and it doesn't end up happening, and then I'm more hard on myself.
Mom, I
That's one. What happened? Get your feet
And
up
then Dr. Kim,
need. Wow.
do you have any right now that you find that you are holding on to, that you keep repeating to yourself, but you wish that you could release that?
I'm in this space today of who am I really? Who am I really? And realizing there's not a finite answer to that. But when these negative thoughts come up, I've learned to go into my body that I ignored for so long and look to see, okay, what is that? And allow myself to feel it. So even in this conversation, my eyes are kind of filled with tears. And I know there's something in my body that needs to be released when those thoughts come up, whether they're from something current or a memory that gets triggered. But I'm really tuning more and more into my body and allowing it to speak whatever's there instead of being afraid to go there, because I was always afraid it would be a bottomless pit of agony. And it might be agony for a few minutes, but it's not a bottomless pit.
You know, it'll be, you're in that, what is that called? The dark shadow of the
Dark night of the soul.
dark night of the soul. That's what it's called. It's where you're coming through and you're actually transmuting all of that pain that you've experienced. And that's what it sounds like you're going through right now, is one of those moments. And I know you need anything, Kim, you know I'm always available. I'm always here
Thank
for
you.
everyone. I love you guys.
Thank you.
'Cause that's not an easy space to go through, and nobody needs to do those alone ever. Because the transmuting that pain and that hurt that we've been through in life can be extremely, it's like experiencing it all over again. And it's not always fun, but having someone safe to sit with is always nice, because then you can feel that you've actually resolved it, because you can hear yourself. You have the empathy with someone else who's sitting with you in it and allowing you to finally just heal that space and not trying to navigate everything by yourself. So I know that myself personally, one of the things for me is it's not always myself anymore. It's little things that other people will say, like it makes me feel, I will feel less than because somebody else said something. And all they're trying to do is be helpful. If you do it this way, it might be better, this might actually help you, but it's like a criticism, and I don't always handle that well. Like I will get emotionally triggered by that. And so I have to learn how to navigate that. But that's because I've uncovered so many other layers of myself that now that's one of those after effects from so much trauma experience that now I'm seeing and able to actually begin processing, because now it's finally I'm in a safe zone where I can begin processing those things. It's pretty interesting when you actually take and sit with yourself and see why you react the way that you do. You actually begin to identify what it is you're needing to work on, and you can actually sit with it long enough to see where it stems from and comes from. And when you do that, you can actually begin releasing it and letting it go. So the reason I had you all think about these things today and talk about that, that's what I want to take us all through the fountain with. So take those thoughts. So for yourself and releasing, whether or not it's processing fast enough for you, Shayna, or, come into the knowing of what I want you to switch that with when we go through the fountain is I'm always right where I need to be on time every time. I'm always right where I need to be on time every time, or we wouldn't be there. So, and for Kim, right now with what you're going through, because you're really releasing a lot of past stuff, give yourself permission to love yourself in your process. Fall in love with the process of finding that freedom. So as you're releasing and saying, I want to release these blockages in my life, I want to release these pain points in my life, I give myself permission to receive my highest good through processing this. So I'm going to go ahead and bring everybody to that point where they can close their eyes, center into yourself. I want you to go ahead and imagine yourself right now being able to stand before the garden gates as they are opening and closing, opening and closing. This light, bright effect coming in front of you and opening. As that opens, I want you to go ahead and walk into the garden. As you walk through the gates, you see the path, you see the grass, and as you continue looking out, you can see the trees, and you can see the brush and the bushes and the flowers and the plants of all types. As you see that, you can see off in the distance that there's a little bench off to the side of the fountain. You can see the birds, you can fluttering through the sky and landing on the branches. You see the little flowers, but you see the butterflies floating all over. And you can hear the water cascading effect coming down from the top of the fountain. It's in the center of the garden, and now your body is being pulled towards it. You feel that drawing, that knowing that there's a sense of healing and restoration inside that fountain. So when you get to the side of it, you see the steps. I want you to imagine yourself stepping up 1, stepping up 2, and then stepping down into the fountain. As the waters are cascading down from the top of the fountain, you can feel them now coming against your feet, swirling around your ankles, around your calves, and around your knees. As it gets up to your knees, you can see this cascading water effect coming down from the top. I want you to go ahead and step into it. And as it comes down around the top of your head, I want you to go ahead and open the crown. Allow this to start pouring, pouring, pouring. White light cascading water effects through cooling sensation down into your mind, illuminating any of the storylines that keep you bound to your stories of what's going on. Going through transitioning all of this pain and stuff that you've experienced through your life, allowing yourself permission, Kim. I give myself permission to release and let go of anything that blocks me from my highest good. For Shayna, every time that something seems pressing and it's time to get done, and putting these rigid structures on yourself so that you can continue knowing that you are a success. You are doing things that are helping the world around you. You're right where you need to be, right on time every time. And allow that to shift from feeling so pressed for time to knowing that you're right on time every time. Bring that down, down, down into your throat. Any storyline that's going on within your verbiage of what you speak each and every day. It keeps you locked up, kept up, and blocked from your future, from your success of the things that you want to achieve, the things that you want to do. The hesitation, the irritation, the conflicts, the words that others have spoken. Remove all of those things. Bring yourself down to peace, love, serenity, patience, goodness, self-control, faithfulness, kindness. Bring this down into your heart. And sit with this for just a moment and feel the fact that all of those harsh words on yourself, how much it affects your heart. How it causes you to feel that you've been less than what you could be, but you're everything that you could be each and every moment. So I want you to shift to that knowing that you can only give 100% of yourself at all times. And if you're giving yourself, no matter what's going on, then you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And you're doing it to your best ability. So love yourself through your process. Accept that you are right where you need to be, right on time every time. Bring that down, releasing and letting go of any resistance to that. Down into the solar plex, where your stomach might feel like it's in knots. It feels like it's just too much, causing a labored breath because there's so much tightness in your abdomen. Go ahead and release that. Let that go. It's okay to be free from the pain. There's nothing wrong with letting go. It doesn't mean you forget. It just means that you don't have to let the effects determine every moment of every day. Bring that down into the solar plex, into the sacral, dropping this down now to the sacral, where we get hung up in our addictions and in our frustrations. And let us go ahead and release that, pushing that through, pushing that through, pushing that through, allowing the light cascading water effects to continue from above into your mind, into your throat, into your heart, into the solar plex, into the sacral, removing all blockages along the way, down into the root of our very being, down into the core of our spine, down, down, down to the end of our coccyx, the tailbone. As it enters into that space, as you feel that rigid tightness down at the base of your back, I want you to go ahead and release it and let it go. Let it flow through with this water down your legs, into your calves, into your feet, and down. Press it into the ground as far away from you as possible. Down, 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 down. Anything that is no longer serving your highest good, go ahead and release. Let it pour through from above, so below, all the way through your body. Now just bringing back just the light into your feet, the water into your feet for cleansing, into your calves, into your thighs, into the root, into the sacral, into the solar plex, into the heart. And I just want you to take this cooling, light, cascading water effect down your arms, into your fingertips, back up into your heart, back up into your throat, soothing and speaking love, life, joy, peace up into your mind, into the third eye, knowing that you're right on time every time and that you are worthy. And then up, releasing back into the heavenlies. When you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. We are just a couple minutes over the hour. Did anybody want to say anything? I can take you off camera if you'd prefer. Let me know.
Thank you. What a gift. Thank you. Very sweet. Peace flooded in. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I also feel just so relaxed and at ease right now. Like I need to take a nap.
Just like, oh, let it go.
Yes.
You let it go.
Mhm.
No
Yeah.
reason to put hard restraining confines on ourselves. I'm still working on that one too myself. And I was really grateful that you took us there. I was like, oh, I need that one too.
Mhm.
Because it's really easy for us to put really rigid deadlines on ourselves. We're our own boss. So we have really rigid.
Yeah.
If we were showing up at a job, we go in, we do our job, get it done, and we'd enjoy it, go home. We need to do the same thing for ourselves. Just get in, enjoy what we're doing, have fun, live in the moment, and go home.
Yeah.
You know, even though we work from our homes, most of us, like, leave your business where it's business and enjoy your family where it's family.
Yeah.
Blessings, love, and light, you guys.
A joy to be together. Thanks so much.
Make sure you both drink some water today.
Yeah.
I promise. Bye for now.
All right,
Bye
love
for
you
now.
guys.
Love.
Bye.